Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace, and I am so happy you clicked on this video. Today we are taking a step back from the more larger in-depth projects and working on some smalls, some quick and easy makeovers that I can get done and into my booth to resell. Y'all let me know what project is your favorite, and we're gonna get started right now. Hey friends, for our first project, it's going to be a pretty simple one. My mama picked these up from the Dollar Tree, so they were free to me, but I had to make over a couple for her in exchange. That was the deal. So I'm going to make over 3 to resell in my booth, and I'm going to make over 2 to give to my mama. I'm starting off by just cutting the hangers that came on these hearts, and I believe these were $1.25 a piece. So after we got the hangers off, I'm going to try to darken up this material. I think this is like rattan or something like that, by using a antiquing glaze on it. I started off by misting the hearts so I could get that antiquing glaze down in the nooks and crannies, but it kind of lightened it too much for my preference. So when I jumped to my next heart, I decided not to mist the heart starting off, and I liked its much darker finish when it's all said and done. I let the antiquing glaze sit on the hearts for about 10 minutes before coming in with the blue shop towel and just patting it and dabbing any excess glaze off the hearts. But I didn't really worry about getting in every little crevice. I feel like the darker in some areas and lighter in other areas is going to work out for this project. I let those dry, and now I'm bringing out some of my ribbons. I have 3 different velvet, I cannot speak today, velvet ribbons here that I'm going to cut down, and we're going to feed it through the little hangers on the top of the hearts. I was trying to make like a little layered look here, so whenever I fed it through the hanging on the heart, I tried to keep that layered effect by twisting the velvet, making sure it was in the right direction and making sure everything was lined up before I made the knot. And then I just cut off any excess ribbon. I then came in and worked on another heart, and I broke out some chiffon ribbon and then the velvet ribbon too, and I have to say I much prefer that combination of ribbon over this one right here. That's it for this easy project. I love how they came out. Mama really liked hers too. I priced 3 of them for $7 each, and all 3 of them sold. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. You're going to notice a trend on today's projects. We're working with quick and easy. I have this thrifted thick wooden frame. Y'all know I love my thick wood frames. I picked this up from Salvation Army for $2.99. I thought that was an awesome deal. It is held on, the backer piece is held on with some tiny brad nails that I need to remove. So I'm just going to knock them out. And as I was doing that, the center part of the frame came out with it, so I'm going to have to pry that backer piece off away from that centerpiece with just a screwdriver, and then I just kind of popped that centerpiece back into place. I did need to remove all the little tiny brad nails out of our backer piece before we can do anything with it, but this is definitely a handmade stitching project. I'm not exactly sure what you call it. I wouldn't call it cross stitch because it actually looks like it's padding with like a sewing machine. I don't know. If y'all know anything about that, y'all let me know. It's a cute project, but I just wasn't going to waste this gorgeous frame for that piece. We're going to be removing the hanging hardware that came on it and replacing that in a later step. Here's my backer piece all cleaned up and ready to go, and here is a Temu print canvas that I've had in my stash since last spring, and I just want to get it used up. I think it's cute and it will be perfect to put inside of this wooden frame. So I'm going to figure out what areas I don't mind cutting off since this print is larger than my backer piece. Once I have placement figured out, I'm going to start with a starter strip of Mod Podge, spread that out evenly, and then flip the canvas into that wet Mod Podge. And then I will just lift up the other 3/4 of the canvas to apply more Mod Podge, and we will get that piece laid down as well. I try to spread the medium as even as possible, but you want to make sure that you have enough of the Mod Podge around the edges so it doesn't lift later on in its life. Once I get the canvas down, I'm going to roll over everything evenly with a brayer a few times just to make sure I do not have any bubbles. Once I feel like it has good adhesion, I'm going to go over top of the canvas with a crosshatch motion of the Mod Podge sealer to protect our new artwork, and this will kind of mimic a painting when you're looking at it. I really like using this technique. Then I'm going to let the canvas fully dry. Once completely dry, I can come in with my sharp X-Acto knife to trim all the excess edges off of our backer board. Next, we need to clean this gorgeous frame. I will not be painting this beauty. I think it is perfect just the way it is. I really like this wood tone look, but I can tell it lived in a smoker's house. It had a lot of nicotine buildup on it, so I gave it a very thorough cleaning, and then we're going to get our artwork secured back in place by tapping those tiny brad nails through the backer board into the wooden frame. And now I'm going to add my new hanging hardware. And that's it for this project. Y'all, you already know I love it. I love birds and I love wooden frames, so you really can't go wrong with this project. I priced it for $27. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. Our next project is a little makeover on a soap dispenser. Mama brought this over to my workshop and said, will you just add a little something to this for me? So I was like, sure. So we're going to start off by cleaning it with some rubbing alcohol really well to make sure what we place on it will be able to stick properly. I searched and searched through my transfer scraps to find a label, and there was several in Santa's Hollow. So I cut out a label from Santa's Hollow IOD transfer book with a couple of little greens that I could layer on this piece. I'm going to start by transferring one of the green leaves down first so I can place my label over that one. I'm going to burnish it a little bit and then place my label. And then the second green piece, I wanted it to be over top of the label. So it's really cool how you can layer transfers like this. They layer over each other very well and it's not noticeable. And I really like the way this is turning out. Next, I broke out the apothecary label stamps. Y'all, this one comes with 4 different alphabet letters, lots of symbols and little numbers. So I'm going to choose a font and ink it up with some black permanent IOD ink, and I'm going to spell out the word soap. I decided to do one letter at a time since this was a pretty slick and round surface. I just wasn't willing to gamble with it sliding and slipping on me, and I had a pretty easy time doing it letter by letter. And y'all, I think this one is super cute. I love how it turned out. Mama loved it too. I did apply a little bit of clear wax over the transfer to seal it up. But other than that, this project is done. And y'all, look at that cute duck soap bar I thrifted last week. Super cute. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that one. Next, we have some wooden mushrooms here. These came from Hobby Lobby, and I believe they were 70% off when Mama picked them up for me. She knows I am obsessed with mushrooms. And I had an idea of wrapping some moss on the tops of the mushrooms. So here is a packet I had in my stash. It is moss sheeting, and I'm just making some quick measurements here so I don't cut it too short. I'm going to do a little test run on my mushroom. This sheet stuff is supposed to have sticky on the back of it, but this product honestly was just so old that the sticky disintegrated. So we're going to have to use hot glue. I decided to add a few relief cuts just to make sure I can go around the round surface, and I feel like that helped. But y'all, I was getting burned here. That hot glue will seep through this moss quick. So be very careful. I came back in and added some hot glue around the edges, and then I'm just going to come in with my scissors and trim the excess off. And the last step for these, I pulled out some fluffy reindeer moss. I just wanted to add a different texture and a different color to the tops of our mushrooms, and this will kind of look like the white dots on the top of a regular mushroom. I thought this was a super cute touch. I added probably like 13 little dots on top of each mushroom. And that's it for these. Super cute. I priced the smaller one for $12 and the larger one for $15. And for our last project, we have this cute little storage box situation I picked up from Salvation Army a couple months ago. Honestly, it's been in my stash. I was going to make it over for Christmas and use the Nutcracker stamps on it, but I never got around to it, so we're going to give it a spring refresh. It looks like it used to be someone else's project piece from looking at the overspray on the inside of the storage box. So we're going to give everything a good scuff sand. Goodness gracious, help me speak, please. And clean up the inside as well. I'm using a 120 grit sandpaper here. Once I get this piece sanded, I'm going to give it a good clean and then come in with a all-in-one paint by Fusion, and I think I'm using cashmere. And I'm going to do 2 coats to the exterior of the box and the lid. I'm jumping ahead a little bit so I can have the time to pop in here and tell y'all the exciting news. I just ordered the IOD spring release. We don't know the exact release date yet, but you will definitely be the first to know when I know more information. But the designs are gorgeous, and I cannot wait to get my hands on some new items to play with. I have been a little burnt out, I guess, with IOD recently because I am just ready for some fresh designs to play with. Y'all let me know if y'all ever get that way, but I'm extremely excited and a little impatient for my shipment to arrive. I'll update y'all as soon as I know more information on the release date info, but I also will send out emails through my website to share the good news that way as well. I was being a little lazy and decided not to remove the little knob on the top of this lid, but I couldn't paint underneath it well. So when I came in for my second coat, I decided to remove it, and it's a lot easier. Just work smarter, not harder, y'all. Once my 2 coats of paint were good and dry, I'm going to come in with a 180 grit sandpaper and really sand down those edges for some nice distressing. I really loved the detail of bringing some of that original blue color back, as well as some wood peeking through. Now let's add a little something something to this box. I am breaking out Lost Garden IOD transfer book. I have several pages of this I need to get used up, and this was really the perfect project to use it on. I used every little piece of this transfer book scrap on this project, and it just feels so good to work through your scraps and your stash. My best tip when transferring a larger design like this is just be patient. It is a little more time consuming. You got to work from different angles sometimes, but it always releases 10 times faster if you rub and lift at the same time. So slowly but surely, I worked my way around this entire box. And next, to add a pop of this design on the lid, I'm going to grab another smaller design out of that same transfer book and transfer this on the center of the lid. Once I get it down, I'm going to poke the screw back through the transfer and reattach my knob. I sealed over the exterior and the interior of this decor storage box with a coat of Fusion's clear wax. Other than that, this project is done, and y'all, every single thing I put this transfer on sells immediately. I priced it for $27, and it lasted about a day or two in my booth. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. And that is all I have for you today, my friends. I really hope you enjoyed these quick and easy makeovers. Y'all be sure to let me know which project is your favorite down in the comments. And if you got any inspiration from today's video, hit the like button. Consider hyping this video if you found it extra enjoyable. And consider subscribing if you have not already. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.